Two major features just got added to the XRP ledger. If you weren't paying attention, decentralized identity and credentials. What does this actually mean for XRP, for Ripple, and the future of the ecosystem? We're going to get into all of that and more in this video. We're also going to discuss permission domains and permission dexes, which are next on the list to get approved and implemented on the XRP ledger. So Kenny here, Kenny ZLY 200. Let's give him a follow, man. We have 200 followers now, Kenny. The credentials feature on the XRP ledger is now live. It gives developers and businesses a way to handle identity checks and compliance requirements directly on chain without the need to manually approve each account one by one. So they can verify who this person is that's getting this money without them doing manual checks. This is what takes so much time in the background. When you're sending a payment across the world, there's actually an office full of people that have to facilitate all of the information. Who the money is going to, is it approved, what is the account, all of that stuff. This enables to auto check this stuff without having to go through that. Think about the manual labor and the time that you save. This is how we speed up payments and get that money to where it needs to go. Kenny goes on to say, traditionally verifying user credentials like KYC requirements, multiple checks across different platforms. This process is not only inefficient, but also increases privacy risks because sensitive information has to be shared again and again. So your personal data, right? Maybe your social security number, how much money is in your account, your address has to be shared across multiple banks and offices all around the world. That gets a little nerve-wracking when you start to think about it. The credentials feature enables credentials to be issued, stored, and verified natively on the XRP ledger, allowing users to prove a required criteria without undergoing repeated verification. This improves the onboarding process and enhances security while maintaining privacy. This is a typical flow of how this works. I thought this was great by Kenny added this. It says a business defines the credentials it requires. Example is KYC. A trusted issuer creates and signs that credential. The user accepts and stores it on the XRP ledger account. When the user interacts with the business, the credentials is checked on chain. This approach provides important advantages, including sensitive documents remain off chain. A single credential can be reused across multiple businesses, and approvals that once required multiple checks can now be automated. He goes on to say credentials is not only useful as a standalone feature, but it's a building block that will enable several upcoming XRPL features, including permission domains, permission dexes, and single vault or single asset vault, also known as SAV. A permission domain defines specific requirements like KYC and checks if a user has the necessary credentials embedded in an object to enter. Permission dex and SAV are applied in instances, and permission domains enabling institutional trading and lending use cases. The design of XRPL credentials draws from the W3C, the World Wide Web Consortium, verifiable credential standard adopted on the XRP ledger. Each credential is tied directly to the ledger account and signed by the issuer, making it verifiable, portable, and aligned with global standard. Great post from Kenny. Thank you so much, man. Vet also says another compliance amendment activated on the XRP ledger, decentralized identity, credentials, and we got next permission domains and permission dexes. I wanted to get a little bit more information so you could have it here on decentralized identity, DID. We did talk about this in previous videos, but here it is. Allows users and institutions to control their own identity on chain independent of any central authority, enabling secure, private, self-sovereign profiles for everything from payments to Web3 logins. Credentials, verifiable credentials lets entities prove attributes like KYC, AML, corporate membership, and roles without exposing sensitive personal data, forming the backbone of on-chain compliance and trusted interactions. Permission domains. These domains enable custom access controls and compliance logic so businesses and financial institutions can create walled gardens for compliant trading, lending, and payments directly on the XRP ledger. And then permission dexes. This brings true regulated institutional DeFi to public blockchains as trades within permission order books require verified credentials, opening up DEX markets for institutional flows, DEX swaps, stablecoin initiatives, and cross-border treasury. What this also unlocks is regulated DeFi markets. Institutions can now safely trade, lend, issue tokens, and settle payments on the XRP ledger's native DEX, confident all participants meet their compliance standards. Enterprise onboarding. Automated KYC and AML workflows cut manual friction for onboarding banks, fintechs, and corporations, accelerating adoption of XRP-based applications. When you are talking about connecting legacy systems and getting these banks and financial institutions onboarded, you need all of this stuff. So if you are if you are investing in a cryptocurrency and you think it's going to take over the payments landscape and you don't have any of this stuff, this is probably a warning sign that maybe you are in the wrong thing, right? Because you need these types of things for institutions to do business on your network. And that is what Ripple and the devs at the XRP ledger, who've been updating the XRP ledger throughout the years, have been working on. Talks about interoperability, which we know is key. XRP ledger approach aligns with global decentralized identity standards like W3C, potentially making its credentials portable across blockchains, apps, and industry platforms. That is pretty juicy. There's also some new information here from Bank XRP. Weebus International signs a strategic partnership with Air China, unlocking access to 60 million members and introducing future XRP payment solutions for 60 million plus Phoenix Miles members. Talks about enhanced user experience, instant transactions, and tokenized rewards. Just wanted to get some additional information on this. The partnership will enable Air China's Phoenix Miles members to use XRP for travel payments, rewards, and settlement across WeTour's global chauffeur and airport transfer services. Integration of XRP aims to reduce transaction costs, enhance speed of settlements, and introduce tokenized rewards that are directly linked to membership profiles, improving their overall travel experience. It goes on to say Weebus is positioning itself as a leader in Ripple integrated travel ecosystems by leveraging Air China's large customer base and exploring expansion into duty-free stores, hotels, and other travel-related parties. Weebus plans to maintain a 300 million XRP reserve, ensuring liquidity for cross-border payments and using XRPL's infrastructure to streamline corporate finance operations, similar to corporate Bitcoin strategies. There's some other companies also saying that they're going to do something similar to what Weebus is doing here. Of course, you have Trident Digital claiming that they're going to build a 500 million XRP strategy. Wellgistics Health committed 50 million to XRP for instant vendor payments and streamlining its pharmaceutical supply chain. Vivo Power International acquired 100 million in XRP for staking and yield generation, treating XRP as a productive treasury asset. Nature's Miracle Vertical Farming Tech allocating up to 20 million towards corporate treasuries. Other Asian financial services announcing XRP reserves to capitalize on fast, cost-efficient USD-linked cross-border transfers. You notice that Ripple is kind of hitting all of these different ecosystems, right? You have travel, right? You have treasury management for scale beyond fintech, Wellgistics Health. This is, in the pharmaceutical space, Vivo Power. Bill Morgan says, some will throw shade on the fact that the announcements that Chauffeur Services provides Weebus has signed a strategic partnership with On Air China, which has 60 million members, refers to XRP payment support, but does not specifically and explicitly state XRP will be used. For me, it shows adoption for XRP. You also have this to CME, third largest XRP open interest at over $1 billion. CME continues to grow. Brad Garlinghouse even tweeted about this. I'm going to put more into the next video that I'm doing about this collaboration and the benefits that CME is seeing with XRP Ledger. With XRP, record 36 billion in OI for crypto futures and options on August 22nd. It talks about 1,006 large open interest holders. XRP, Solana, and Micro Ether futures hit all-time highs. Institutional activity is broadening beyond just Bitcoin. Here is Black Swan Capitalist talking about gold held value for 5,000 years because it was scarce, neutral, and trusted. XRP mirrors those same traits digitally, instantly transferable global liquidity.
Why did they call XRP a stablecoin? That's my question. Why did they call XRP a stablecoin and not a stablecoin issued on XRP? You have to wonder, over time, is it going to be realized that, you know what, this is the stablecoin? Maybe all stablecoins are tied to it. So it's ultimately the stablecoin of all stablecoins. And effectively, if that does happen and come into fruition, even though I've believed that for many years and talked about it openly, what I think is going to happen, that in due time, it's going to be realized that in some way, form, or fashion, XRP is indeed the digital collateral that functions similar to physical gold. And I think that's the real agenda here behind the scenes, because it was the very same institutions that are saying, if we're going to have a new monetary system, we need collateral. And again, global liquidity is only as good as the collateral that backs it. That's why gold is being bought.
All right. Paul Barron says the American dream is not dead. It is shifted. Let me go ahead and just play this. You know what? Before we do this, Eleanor Tarrant says, I'm hearing that the Senate Banking Committee is aiming and early as of today to release its updated draft for market structure legislation, reflecting feedback from RFIs submitted before August. This means a regulation for crypto assets is moving forward. It's starting here. The Senate Banking Committee is having to update and release a draft for market structure legislation. This is exactly what we want. The sooner we can get crypto regulation to pass, the sooner these institutions will flood in. And that's exactly what we're hoping for. Here is Paul Barron saying the American dream is not dead.
Charlie Bolello hits on it right here. The American dream is on life support. Only 25% of Americans say they have a good chance of improving their standard of living, the lowest in surveys since '87. 3 in 4 don't believe the next generation will be better off. I'm going to tell you this, guys. The American dream is not dead. The American dream has just shifted, and it shifted from what was, unfortunately, real estate in the past to digital assets. And digital assets have a whole slew and variety of concepts, but this is all coming to a head in one place, and I hope.
He basically goes on to say, follow his channel and all of that stuff, which you should do. Paul Barron seems like a genuine article here, but not every American is invested in crypto. So 1 out of 6 adults in the United States own crypto right now. The rest of them do not. So to those people that are struggling paycheck to paycheck, that don't see the light of how digital assets can change their life, those people yet to have come in and experience what we all know is about to happen. Those people are still, not seeing a very good future right now. And that is something I deeply worry about here in the United States. The economy isn't getting better. It is getting worse. Things are getting more expensive for people every single day. And if people don't understand that they need to have some of these digital assets to even make it through the next 20 to 30 years, right? Holding US dollars in the bank is going to get you wrecked by inflation. As the US prints more money, as we spend more money that we don't have, as countries are not interested in buying our debt anymore, we rely on the crypto market more than we think we do. If without the crypto market, the US dollar would be it'd be in a big problem right now. You got to think about it. 90+% of all stablecoins in the crypto market are US dollar based. Without the US dollar stablecoins, we wouldn't be able to swap through a lot of our favorite cryptos. So the US dollar needs crypto more than crypto needs the US dollar. And I think the Trump administration understands how important the stablecoin market is going to be to buying US debt. This is something that we talked about for the last 6 months. We've been right on this entire time about all of this. If you have somebody in your life that is struggling, that is having these types of thoughts, bring them into the community, right? Just have them start learning. Maybe it'll open something up in them that was opened up in me when I started learning about cryptocurrency. It changed my entire life. And I think it's changed a lot of your lives too, for the better. We're hoping for a lot better, right? Real soon. But I think that will all come, guys. Let's work together. Let's have some fun. Let's make some money. I'll see you next time.
I have just built a course for beginners, intermediaries, and experts of XRP to better understand the XRP ledger and Ripple, the company. If you're interested in getting that course absolutely free, there's a link down in the description. Please let me know what you think after you've taken the course. Aloha.